Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. All right, Houston Rockets and the Los Angeles Lakers tonight at 4 p.m. Now, I said in the previous video it was at 5, but that is not the case. It's 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and that game is going to be in Houston, Texas, at the Toyota Center. Now, I did all the homework I could on the Houston Rockets in terms of watching highlights. I've been watching highlights of the Rockets for the last hour and 15, hour and a half. It's been a lot. Not just about every single game they've played since us, basically, and that's like eight highlights. It was a lot of fun, actually. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've had worse or better times rather doing this. The Rockets are an easy team to watch highlights of. I just watched probably too many of them, to be honest with you, in one flurry. But my mind is overloaded with a lot of Rockets stuff, and so I'm gonna give it to you as I can. First of all, Alperen Sengun is a monster. He likes to attack from the top of the key in a lot of cases, driving straight at the rim. I mean, this dude is like a freight train, and he could do a lot of things in that situation. He spins left, right, ambidextrous, can pass off of that. He can dunk the ball basically from one step inside of the free throw line. The dude is a different kind of finisher in that way. Straight line from the top of the three-point line to the basket, and he can create all kind of stuff doing that. It's really, really strange how he does it, but he rarely gets called for charges, and he rarely makes a bad play, and he often dunks in traffic. And so that's one thing that I saw him do repeatedly in all of those games. Straight ahead, top of the three-point line, straight at the rim. Driving fast, too. It's just powering through. So we got to get guys like Austin Reeves and Dennis Schroeder and those guys, Anthony Davis, find a way to draw that charge, because that boy's coming at you full force. And I don't know how he does it in this league without getting called for charges at least twice a game, but he needs to be considered in that regard. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Did it too many times in these last 8 games. Next thing we got to understand right now is that Green and Porter, their backcourt, they're focused on right now. They're allowing those guys to run free, and they're both scoring big over these last couple games. The last game they played in was against the Detroit Pistons. They were able to beat the Detroit Pistons in a situation where it was a whole lot of Kevin Porter. I think he went for like 33 or 36 points, something like that. Green also went for 30-something. So it's one of those situations where that's the era we're in this phase of their season. Now it's time to let the backcourt flex. So we got to be ready for that. Obviously, those are 2 of the best young players out there, man. Green is somebody who can jump out the gym. He gets a hammer dunk every night. He has a lot of different crafty things that he can do, and he has ridiculous speed. The boy's a gazelle. He hasn't really stepped into his athleticism just yet, or found a way to he hasn't found a way to use it to dominate just yet, but it's coming. That boy has different type of athleticism and a different kind of speed and ability when he turns corners and stuff like that to get really low and in some really, really aerodynamic type of super ways. And I don't think too many people really know that about him. They just think he's a nice athletic shooting guard who can shoot a little bit. Nah, this dude has like some other athleticism that has somewhat been forgotten about, but I haven't forgotten it, so we got to be very careful with him. Also, Kevin Porter Jr., ambidextrous, another player who can do just about everything he wants to do. Fantastic passer, high level point guard in this league, man. He's gonna make all-star teams in this league for sure. We have to be careful with him because his 3-point shot is being pretty solid. I ain't gonna say he's been stellar from behind the arc, but he's been hitting it enough. And he drives at the rim, gets his calls and stuff like that, makes plays for everybody. So he's a dynamic dude, ISO guy. So you definitely don't want to leave yourself on an island with him. He can break you down, put you in a blender, and send you packing. So I definitely respect what they have in that backcourt and that starting lineup. And you got to respect the guys coming behind him too. Josh Christopher, a guy who had a really nice game against us last time. His efficiency comes and goes, but we know he's a high-level guard who's going to ascend as he continues to get more playing time. So he's in the mix right now. Another guy that got a lot of playing time in the highlights I saw was Usman Garuba, a guy who comes and goes in terms of his playing time. I guess that's a byproduct of the tank. They don't want to play him too much because he could contribute to some winning a lot of the time, I think. But all in all, he's been able to do some things that have really been exciting, hitting 3-point shots, rebounding the ball, playing defense for sure, scoring the ball. So he's an interesting guy that they may or may not use. He didn't get much playing time against Detroit, if any, but throughout the highlights and stuff, they had a lot of games where he did definitely do some good things. I thought it was noteworthy that the Houston Rockets won a game at the buzzer after they beat us that particular game about 3 weeks ago. The very next game they had, Smith hit a 3-point shot at the buzzer to knock off BI and the Pelicans. I did not know that happened. So I was glad I was able to see those highlights because I was just simply not aware, man. Smith is a heck of a shooting player at the power forward position. He's also a hell of a defensive player with very long arms and knows how to use them. So we have got to be respectful of his talent level and what that young fella can do to us from behind the arc. So yeah, I just want to make it very clear, Smith Jr., be careful with him because I think he could have a big game tonight. He had a good second half in the game that we played against them after having a really, really cold first half. He really made his numbers come about and ultimately sent us packing. So, he's somebody I have as a high-level talent that's only going to continue to get better and better and probably make a bunch of all-star teams as well. Another guy that we need to be very careful with is Tari Eason. Tari Eason was 1-for-11 in the last game against Detroit, and that tells me that he is not going to do that again. He's not that. That ain't who he is. It's the worst game he's probably going to have. So we got to be aware that this dude is a rebounder, put-back guy. He can shoot a little bit. I don't know if his three-point shot's really wet like that, but I've seen him hit it. He drives, does all types of stuff, but he's a dirty work guy, a Vanderbilt type of guy who's going to do a lot of stuff in 50-50 ball situations and tough guy situations. So we have to keep our eye on him. Luckily enough, we don't have to deal with Deshaun Tate, who was one of the guys who really tore us up last time. He's the only guy on the injury report as listed out for the Rockets. So we definitely will have to consider Tari Eason getting more minutes and some of their other guys like Christopher, a guy by the name of, I think Deshaun Nix, I believe is his name. He's also been showing up in the highlights. I think he's a rookie that they've been using as well. So I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be looking at. Who else is on this team, man? Alperen Sengun, of course, I already mentioned. Smith. Yes. KJ Martin. KJ Martin is a very, very high-level player, man. He don't get enough credit for how good he is in the midst of all these lottery talent players that are on this Rockets team. He is very, very capable of dropping a lot on your head from either behind the arc, jumping over you, just like his pops, Kenyon, did, and really rebounding the ball very well as well. This is somebody who's really scoring the ball very consistently for the Houston Rockets. Like I said, he gets off the floor easily. He's just like a Shaedon Sharpe or a Zach LaVine type of dude. He flies all over the place. He got that naturally from his pops. So I expect him to have a high-level game. He's very easy. Somebody can go for double digits tonight, scoring the ball, rebounding the ball too. So with all of the forwards that they have that are super athletic, all the young players that they have that can ultimately run you around, it's going to be important for us to try to find some way to keep up with that energy. And we're going to have to hit shots against these guys. Right? That's really what it comes down to. We could definitely attack them, and we could certainly beat them. And we owe them, too. I want us to get our league back against them. But make no mistake about it, they still have the talent to flex and make this game very difficult for you. Now, they have been losing a lot since they had that 3-game winning streak where they beat us and then beat the Pelicans after that. They had won the game before seeing us as well. So that was the little 3-game winning streak. That's where things ultimately went back to tank mode for them. After that game where they hit the shot against the Pellies, they had how did that go? A Warrior game. Well, they played a pretty solid game against the Warriors, but the Warriors were able to overcome them. You know how it goes on the road against the Warriors. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a 2-game stretch where they had to play against the Memphis Grizzlies. Both of those games did not go their way. But I thought they played pretty solid against the Memphis Grizzlies in one of those games, where Luke Kennard hit like 10 threes. It was crazy. And then another game, it didn't go well at all. It was a blowout, so there wasn't a whole lot to see there. They had a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers where they lost all of these games. Except for the Detroit game, everything else has been a loss. But those games were good, though. They played well in the Cleveland game. I thought they put up a good fight there, but they couldn't overcome Mobley and those guys. Just too much length there. But you saw situations where Alperen Sengun was really able to do some good things in that particular matchup as well. They had a back-to-back against New Orleans and Memphis. They had 2 of those back-to-back things. So the New Orleans one, they lost both of those as well. No, they won one of the New Orleans games. They lost one of the New Orleans games. That's how they went. Lost both of the Memphis games. But the New Orleans matchups were pretty interesting, man. You definitely saw this team do some good things. This is another one where Alperen was going crazy, driving at the rim, stuff like that. So, you remember that as well. And then, who else did they play, man? They've had a lot of games. The New York Knicks, they had a matchup against. And the young fellas put up a good fight in Madison Square. I thought Jabari Smith was able to really flex in that one. Once again, Sengun. It's been a lot of Sengun. And that's the thing I got to say. This team, they really can win. They don't have a lack of talent in any way. Obviously, I don't watch them every night, so I don't know how they put it together in terms of finding ways to lose on purpose. But with the type of talent that they have, I can't imagine it's easy. They forfeit. They basically what I'm trying to express is I think they allow their players to not play defense. It's hard. It's one of those type of situations because it's hard to put yourself at a schematic disadvantage when you have so much high level talent. So essentially, what they do is they play off of people a lot. So they're gonna allow you to shoot. If you want to drive at the rim, they're probably gonna allow you to drive sometimes. Stuff like that. They just don't really try as hard as they would if the owner said, "All right, we're winning. It's winning time. No more mistakes. Let's try to play to win." And they will be able to flex because the type of players they have, it ain't gonna be hard for them to win games. I'm telling y'all, it ain't gonna be hard when the Houston Rockets stop tanking. You're all gonna know it. Put it like that. With Sengun and Smith, Eason, Martin, Porter, Green, Garuba, Christopher, like that is a lethal crop of young talent. No different than what the Lakers had before we traded for Anthony Davis. Just a bunch of guys, but even higher level. So I know what I'm looking at there. I'm not going to disrespect our team and say we're at their mercy, but I do believe that this is one of those situations where if we don't come out and play well and they decide they want to win, we could have a repeat performance of the last situation. That's just what it is. So, you got to consider that. Deshaun Tate as well. I didn't even mention him as part of that rotation. But, like, when we talk about deep teams, they got that. The Knicks kid, they're starting to use him now. They got the depth. And then you look over and you see Ty Washington's back there somewhere. They're not able to use him yet. Boban's back there. You know what I mean? So that's what they're sitting on, a whole lot of talent, and they got to find ways of losing games each and every night to ensure that they can do that. To get the next big player that they're going to add to this already massive core. And so, I mean, that's a whole nother story that I'll probably make another video on, but the Houston Rockets have some things they got to consider. Now, the Lakers also have some things we got to consider because we're coming off of a really, really solid couple of games here. The Los Angeles Lakers, you just want to give them credit. Even though the stakes have been so very high, they've been meeting it. We've been telling them they must win. They've dropped a couple games here and there, but the majority of the games they must win have been won. And so we're really excited about that. We gave Dennis Schroeder a lot of credit for how he showed up in the last game. Even though Bron didn't shoot very well, we like the leadership qualities he showed. And Anthony Davis has just been giving us 38 points just about every night. These last two nights, particularly the Chicago game, 38. And then the next one against the Wolves, 38. And that Wolves game was so important to us because we really wanted to see ourselves project upward rather than downward. Obviously, we were 2 games out of falling all the way out of this thing. So going up against a team like Minnesota was such a huge deal, and our guys really showed up. D'Lo had a double-double. I think I told you guys he had like 6 assists. That's wrong. He had 10 assists. And that double-double came with no rebounds. But, that's not a big deal. I'm pretty sure he'll get some tonight. Dennis Schroeder also didn't record or board, so that's something that stood out to me. We want our point guards to crash the glass against guys like Porter. We want to get the rebounding total up as opposed to where it was last time we played them. And, we're wondering about Anthony Davis, LeBron James. They're both listed on the injury report. Bron listed as questionable, AD listed as probable. And I think they're just trying to be cautionary with LeBron's health just in case he doesn't feel that great before the game. They can scratch him, but I don't think he's going to miss it. I don't have any reason to believe that. I didn't see any setbacks or anything in that Minnesota game, but we know AD rolled his ankle, but we also know that it was said right after that game he was definitely playing in this one. So here we are. Hopefully there will be nothing to be concerned with. Vanderbilt's also dealing with a little bit of an ankle. Hopefully he's feeling 100%. I said that I think we should try to sneak him some rest, but after watching an hour and a half of their highlights, I don't know this is the matchup you really do want to do that, to be honest with you, just given the fact of how many bouncy guys that they got. KJ, and those guys. Smith, Eason, you're probably going to need your Vanderbilt to be down there and be at full strength in order to keep from having some of that stuff go completely left on you and to keep LeBron James from having to have so many duties against these jumpy little kids. So that's really what it comes down to. We got to make sure that we have our energy players on the floor and that we respect length and size, because that's ultimately what hurt us last time against this team that we thought was tanking that decided they didn't want to tank against us. And who's to say they won't do that again? So that's really what it comes down to. They could play spoiler. The Los Angeles Lakers are vying for the 6th place position. We got 2 games to play before we see the LA Clippers, and they don't have any games to play before they see us. What does that mean? That means this thing is very much in place for us. If we win this game and then proceed to win the Utah game, we will be tied for 6th place with a chance to take that out right from the Clippers. And they won't have nothing to say about it until we see them. Now, if we drop these 2 games, it's a whole nother story. If we drop one of these games, it's a whole nother story. But we are facing 2 teams that are going to be on the outside looking in. So us getting losses here is not acceptable. We got to take these games seriously and control this 2-game stretch on the road here. We got to control that. I understand what we're dealing with here is going to be tough. You know what I mean? This is a Houston team with a bunch of young players, good coaching with Stephen Silas. I called him Paul Silas last time, but Stephen Silas. And, they're a proud bunch. They are definitely losing games with a purpose, but they also know who they are as a good team with lottery talent and young players with a future in this league. So it's going to be incumbent upon us to take them not only seriously, but treat this just like the Minnesota game and see the intensity as must win and see the importance of taking these 2 games out so that we can see the Clippers and have that on the line, because that would be amazing, absolutely amazing. And it's something we deserve as a team and a unit and all that we've been through. To be in the age that we are and all that LeBron is given to this game, it would be a real reward for this franchise to bypass the play-in tournament and get that 6th or 5th seed, especially from the LA Clippers. So I don't see any reason why we can't get this victory tonight. We'll play hard. We'll beat the Rockets, because at the end of the day, they would rather not win. And we have so much on the line that if we're serious about winning, if we're serious about beating some of these teams in the playoffs, then we should not be cowering away from anybody like this at this stage of the season. So that they're good is cool, but we should be ready to beat the best now. We should be ready to see. We should not be cowering away from any level of difficulty at this point. And if we are, then we're not built for what it is we're trying to do. So that's what I got to say. I don't think the Houston Rockets are a tanking team. I take them very seriously depending on how they approach it. But if they're not serious about winning, obviously we should run out of here. And hopefully if that's the case, we'll be able to sneak ourselves some rest. But it's going to take respect to pace, respect to size, respect to rebound, and respect to rotations, and all these different things to assure we win this game just like any other NBA matchup. Austin Reeves. I want to see him go crazy tonight. I want to see LeBron James allow him to go crazy tonight. I saw that first game against the Chicago Bulls. Some of those possessions we were taking out of Austin's hands. Austin was calling for the ball. He wasn't getting it. Just for Bron to just trot down there and not run a play at all and shoot a jump shot. That's not better than what Austin would have did. And we need to be real about that. If my superstar LeBron James is going to take the ball away from my little young player over there, he better make sure he runs a play. Run a play. Don't come down there and jack up a rhythm jumper that ain't going to be rebounded. So that's what I want to see, man. We got to trust other people's strengths. Austin Reeves is a playmaker. Austin Reeves is a shooter. Austin is a guy who's going to get to the line a million times. Probably going to get his calls more than a lot of our guys. We need to empower him in a night like this to try to get guys like Porter and Green in foul trouble. You know what I mean? And it's going to be tough because those are athletes. We know he doesn't do as well against athletes, particularly superior level athletes. But I do want him to drive at those dudes. I do want him to respect what needs to be respected in regards to holding on to the basketball. Don't turn the ball over tonight, man. That goes for the entire team. We've been turning the ball over a little much more than I'd like us to. 16 in the last game. I think we had like 15 the game before that. That's a little too high. And in the loss that we had against Chicago, I think we had even more than that. So we need to just understand that turnover situation has not been good throughout the process of us winning and losing. We could be doing better. Rebounding the ball. I think we did a good job against these last 2 matchups, man, especially since we thought we were going to have size disadvantages against Chicago, size disadvantages against Minnesota. And our guys took care of business. Anthony Davis needs to be given most of the credit for just how well he rebounded the ball. And since LeBron James has come back, he's been stepping up, not down. He's been stepping forward, not backwards. So that needs to be noticed as well. We talk all the day about various players on this team that we think can contribute. And now it's time for all of us to put it together and make it happen. There's 5 games left in the season. We're going to Houston team's house that a guy like Dennis Schroeder has played for this team before. He should be comfortable in this building. He should be able to shoot better in this building, maybe most. So I want Dennis Schroeder to flex. With this backcourt being as dangerous as it is, we cannot have no blemishes with our backcourt. And that means, coach, Malik Beasley. If Malik got it going on, just like I always say, let him shoot. Them 10 minutes that you gave him was good. I know a lot of people were saying giving him more. Nope. No, 10 is good. That's all he needs to get his shots off. That's the thing. If I don't need him on the floor to shoot the three, then I don't need him on the floor at all. So 9 out of 10 times, I don't need him on the floor to shoot the three. So there goes the minutes that he needs. 10 minutes, that's it. When we need the three, give him the ball and make sure he gets it in rhythm. Make sure he gets it to his chest and his spots, and he will let that thing fly. But if we try to ask him to do other stuff, he's going to make do, because I've seen him do a lot of good. He's a good basketball player, but at this level, you don't want him doing nothing else. I'm just being real. You don't want him doing nothing else. And trying to ask him to do more is unnecessary when you have the talent that we have on this roster. We got guys that can do the things that you're going to ask him to do. So don't put those guys in and let them do those things. So that's what I want to ask Darvin Ham to do for us, man. Don't get psyched out by Malik Beasley's pay or psyched out by Malik Beasley's history, getting 30 minutes a game. So, like, that's not the role he has on his team. You know what I mean? It's not who he needs to be for this roster, and we can't be emotional about that. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. It's like, gosh, let's just do what needs to be done for us to win these games. Who cares who gets the minutes? Who cares who gets the shots? Who cares who feels good about whatever? As long as we're all winning collectively at the end of the night, that's what matters for these next 5 games, bro. That's it. That's all that matters. So whatever's going to get us that win, that's it. If it's going to be somebody, any individual that's going to get in the way of us winning, they're going to be called out. I don't care who they are, man. It could be the first guy or the last guy. I don't want to see no blemishes on a night where we've already been caught off guard by this semi-tanking, semi-super team. Honestly, the super tank team. That's what they are. And so we just got to respect that, man, and you don't know what's coming at you, so you got to be ready. Jabari, Alperin, I haven't said all the names. You know who they are. Be ready. That's it. That is all there is to it. 4 o'clock tonight, you know what I'm saying? This is one of those games where you look at all the athleticism that this team provides, and then you look at the way they've been losing, and you just say they're probably just going to gift us the win. They're probably just going to gift it to us. So we need to be ready to receive it. Rebound the ball, hit your free throws, drive at the rim, all the different things. Don't overshoot. Don't underdrive, all the different things. We got to put ourselves in a position and not settle. Don't settle for jump shots. Don't settle for anything. You know, and that's really what I have to really share in my mindset. I talked a great deal about this team and what I wanted to see them do earlier today in a different separate video. Talked the whole 30 minutes. So a lot of that I have to say now has already been said. But, you know, all in all, the thing about this this Houston Rockets team that just must be understood right now is that Porter's been scoring an average of 33 points over the last 2 games. I don't see any reason for him to cool off against us. I don't see any reason for that. You know, with all due respect to some of our defensive players, I don't see no reason for him not to be able to go off. So, it just might be necessary to put Vanderbilt on him. It might be necessary to put Vanderbilt on that point guard in case he's having one of them nights where he wants to go for his career high or some silly crap like that. You treat him like his name is Donovan Mitchell. You treat him like he's John Morant. You treat him like he's De'Aaron Fox, because that's exactly who he's about to be. And that's exactly who he would have been if he were on a winning team. So respect Kevin Porter Jr. Sometimes you just got to throw food at people. You know, Kevin Porter Jr. threw food in the Cleveland Cavaliers locker room because apparently whoever one of the officials, gave his locker to Taurean Prince. Now, we like Taurean Prince. We saw Taurean Prince against Minnesota. He didn't have his greatest game, but he's been playing well as of late. He ain't nowhere near the level of Kevin Porter Jr. And the funny thing is I would have told you that day. I'd have told you that. But whatever, Cleveland did what they did. They let him go. And now he's going to be the starting point guard for the Houston Rockets probably for the next 8 years. And probably will make a couple all-star teams if he reaches his potential. So these are the type of things I'm telling people in regards to young talent and not sitting guys. We're talking about Pippen and Max Christie and guys that are sitting on our bench, Lonnie Walker. Don't mistake what you're seeing there. We're making a mistake. We should be playing those guys. We don't know that Max Christie ain't another one of those type of players. You don't know that. But you definitely know that you don't find that out if you don't play them. So that's what I want to say. All the young players around this league, I want to see them get the minutes they deserve. Not just on our team. Teams like the Rockets got nothing but young players, so you ain't got to worry about them. But that's the point. It's like, that's where the future is headed. Whole team full of lottery talent and trying to figure out which ones to keep. Because if you're not doing that, believe me, you got a bunch of dead assets, or dying assets, rather. That's just it's either that or the other. That's really where we're at right now in the NBA. And so, with that being said, I'm excited about my team. I think we got a fantastic chance to overachieve this season, especially if we take care of the next 3 basketball games. Heck, 5 basketball games, but definitely these 3 in front of us. We put ourselves in a position to firmly have control over the 6th seed, and that means we would not be playing in the play-in tournament if that were to hold up. So, at the end of the day, what I told the Los Angeles Lakers about a month ago was that every single game we play is a must-win. Approach it with the same intensity. Approach it as if you're in Game 7 of the NBA playoff series, whatever round. Because at the end of the day, this is what it is that's on the line. It's your playoff hopes and your playoff dreams. And when you get to a Game 7, you have already went through this. Every single game leading up to the playoffs. Because you knew that each and one of those losses could potentially get you kicked out. So you've been playing the playoffs the whole time. And so that's what it is, man. This is a playoff matchup. We're a playoff team, and they're a team of kids. And so we need to teach them a lesson tonight. Respect their athleticism, respect their speed, respect their shooting ability, their wild talent, but also respect yourself and come out there and work your plan. Work your progressions, feed Anthony Davis, and let's get this thing. Because at the end of the day, just because Porter's averaging 33 does not necessarily mean Anthony Davis ain't averaging 38. So let's just be honest about that and understand that we have the best player on the floor tonight. We definitely do. And, as long as he continues to rebound and play offensive side of the ball like he has been these last 2 games, we won't be losing too much. Especially fighting through injury the way that he did. You got to give him his credit. But I've always said that he wants to fight through injury. He always shows me heart in terms of wanting to play. It's just that his body doesn't always hold up, and then we have to wait that process out. But it's not about him being weak or soft or not wanting to play. I don't never get that from him. The question is, when he does play, does he have that intensity on the offensive end to give us so much scoring? And if not, why? That's what it comes down to. But it's never about whether or not he wants to play through injury. What we want to see him do today is just continue to attack the same way he's been attacking these last 2 games. Quicker motions, closer to the basket. Just quicker actions, everything quicker. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is we get him moving in slow motion. He shoots a jumper, it bricks, it goes the other way, they lay the ball up. So what we need from him is quicker actions and more motions around him. And I think we've been doing that very well on the road so far. So more of that, more of the same. You know what I mean? This is a road matchup. Obviously Houston, they're a proud bunch. It's a clutch city. But they also know they're tanking. So I expect half the arena to be Laker fans. So let's feed off of what it is that I think will be there, just in general, while their team is waiting for an opportunity to finally root for some winning basketball. It must be frustrating knowing that they're good enough to win, but knowing that they have no interest in winning because they still want to pile up youngsters. So it is what it is, man. Let's help them with that. Last time we failed them, we let them walk out of here with a victory. I know if Tillman Fertitta was not pleased. We need to take care of this, okay? Do ourselves a favor, do him a favor, and leave him with a loss. Straight up, he got a win against Detroit. That was a no-go. They beat, who was it at the buzzer? The Pelicans. That's a no-go. Those are 2 losses. Those are 2 wins they cannot afford. 2 wins they cannot afford. When they fighting up against the Pistons want to beat them. Playing against San Antonio ain't. Pistons want to lose to them. You see how the inverted thought is? It's because winning is losing and losing is winning in their situation. Either way, you don't want to be in the otherwise not so wanted. So they need to be losing. We need to make sure they lose. We need to be winning. We need to make sure we win. That's it. That's the gist of what I'm trying to say. Excited about the matchup, man. Excited about the matchup because I know they beat us last time. They can't. See, there's no excuse for being caught off guard by the Houston Rockets. Now, when we just saw them 2 weeks ago and they made us look foolish. Now, granted, we didn't have AD. We did not have LeBron. And I don't think D'Angelo was out there either. So we were definitely severely undermanned, but we still did not expect for us to not be able to compete. Well, no, I got to amend that thought. We did. Do you know why? Because we told the team at the beginning of the day to get a center on this team. We said it all the way leading up to that game. Alperen Sengun, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have a center. We didn't have AD. We knew it was a back-to-back. That was the whole thing. AD wanted to play in that game. He couldn't play. You guys remember how it went. So, yeah, no, we were at a schematic disadvantage, and we were not happy about that, for a better refresher. But nevertheless, we felt we should have found ways to attack them. We needed the win. We didn't get the win. We were disappointed about that. We want to get this one. We got to get them back. So that's what it is, man. Houston, you're going to have a problem if we're doing what we're supposed to do. Anthony Davis coming through. I know Jabari Smith can crowd him out. Alper Sengun, excellent defensive players. Tyree Eason, excellent defensive players. Garuba, they play D. They just don't play team defense, but they can definitely play defense. Kenyon, I want to call him Kenyon Martin Jr., but it's KJ Martin. Got to deal with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for 22 points, something like that tonight. He's a real scorer, and that's also what's there to say. All of those guys that I mentioned, they're very consistent. Scoring the ball. You're going to see if things hold up the way they have been pretty much the last 8 games. 6 or 7 players in double figures every night. Every single night. All of those guys are as good as they are, and they would do a lot more if they were given more minutes or if they had more centered roles on lesser teams. Those guys, all of them, can contribute to some winning if they're put in situations to do what it is they're good at. So, you're not going to find too many people who have more respect for the Houston Rockets players than I do. Not too many. And so that's what it really comes down to, man. I just want us to beat this team, beat every team, and I wanted that opportunity with that Clipper game. I got my eye on that. So that means we got to beat these guys and Utah, and we're going to be intent on that, man. We got to be intent on that. We can't let this opportunity pass us by. A big-time matchup against those guys, the Clippers, and we ain't beat them in like 3-4 years. It's going to be the biggest game ever. The biggest regular season game ever. So we need to take care of this one, take care of Utah to ensure that we have a chance to make that. Because at the end of the day, if we lose these games, it ain't going to be that. It's going to be just as intent on us beating it, though. It's going to mean more to us to win that game if we lose these two. I'll tell you that. It's going to be even more so important that we beat the Clippers. But you do not want to be back into a situation where you need to beat the Clippers in order to make the playoffs. Because let me tell you something. If I didn't already say this, we ain't beat them in a long time, man. The Clippers we ain't beat in a very long time. No matter what version they've been, we come up with the L so long as they've had this team together like that. So I know these 2 games we can win and must win. And so that's all there is to it. Now the ball goes up. We'll see if the team does what it's supposed to do. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. Wow.